Okay. Good afternoon. So what we're going to be doing is solving x squared minus 4x minus 5 equals 0 by using the quadratic formula. So everybody's watching the screen as we do this and taking notes. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is rewrite the problem. X squared minus 4x minus 5 equals 0. Next move. What is the value of A? What's the value of B? And what's the value of C? So over here, A equals, B equals, C equals. And what is A? Remember, it's always that invisible number right here, which is a 1. B? Negative 4. And let's make sure that we're taking note of that negative sign. Again, what is C? Negative 5. So make sure to take note of the negative 5. Because as you're doing this, when you're writing down the formula and you're seeing all the negatives, you're going to start thinking, okay, that's going to be a negative times a negative. That's going to give me a positive. Now, the best way to learn is always to listen. Because if you're not listening, there's too many points you're not going to hear, and things aren't going to make sense. So we're going to make sure we're listening and not talking. And we're listening. And we're not talking to the people behind us. So first thing, I'm going to rewrite the quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. Formula. Sorry, spelling's a little off there. Okay, now I'm going to plug in numbers for the letters. X equals negative 4 plus or minus the square root of negative 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 5 all over 2 times 1. Okay, now I'm going to start simplifying. I've got a negative and a negative. What's that going to make that? Positive. So x equals positive 4 plus or minus the square root. Negative 4 times negative 4, or negative 4 squared is 16 minus, what's 4 times 1? 4. So I'm just going to put the minus 4. I've combined those two. I've multiplied that out. And then I'm just going to put times negative 5. All over 2. Because 2 times 1 is 2. X equals 4 plus or minus the square root of 16. What is negative 4 times negative 5? Okay, so first of all, what we want to notice is we've got a negative and a negative. Immediately we're going to put positive. And then 4 times 5, 20, divided by 2. Next line down, x equals 4 plus or minus. Now we're going to add 16 plus 20, and what are we going to get? 36, divided by 2. Next line down. Now it's going to look like a different problem because the square root of 36 is what? 6. So x equals 4 plus or minus 6 divided by 2. Okay, next thing I do is split this into two different problems. Remember, we've been saying x equals, and the formula is negative b plus or minus, the plus or minus. Now we will find out what we're talking about with the plus or minus. We're talking about two different numbers. So we're going to have x equals 4 plus 6 divided by 2, and x equals 4 minus 6 divided by 2. What's 4 plus 6? X equals 10 divided by 2, and 4 minus 6, x equals negative 2 divided by 2. That's going to be 5. That's going to be negative 1. Am I done? Yes. That's all. That's it. Okay? So you just work it all the way through. Now we're going to come back later and we're going to record another problem, and we're going to see what happens when this does not clean up so well, when we don't have that perfect square root and we have to start reducing or getting the radical in the simplest form. Kind of like thinking about how do we reduce a fraction. Sort of that same premise. Okay, questions? Okay, so that was 6 minutes. That first time you do this problem, about 6 minutes. After that, you'll get it down to about 3 to 4 minutes.